Good evening. Sorry, I just rubbed my eye. Oh, God. So, I've been inundated with a message. Asking me to quickly go over the differences between Games Workshop and the local gaming store. Now, a lot of you out there will probably already be aware of several of the differences between Games Workshop and the local gaming store, but I figured I'd go over them from the point of view of somebody who has worked in one and hung out a lot of times, hundreds of hours possibly, in another. One is not infinitely better than the other. That may surprise you. There are good things about Games Workshop and there are good things about your local game store. And today I want to take about 5 to 10 minutes just going over what I think those differences are. So if you're new to the hobby, you can make a informed choice of where you want to do your gaming and possibly where you want to do your buying too. So what links then? Which is better? And yes, we are back to the PowerPoints. After a year or so of me not using PowerPoints and using the top of my head. So Games Workshop. Let's look at some positives of Games Workshop. It's the official experience. What I mean by that is, when you're in Games Workshop, you're basically at Disney World. Or you're at a trimmed down version of Disney World for wargaming. When you're at Games Workshop, you were at the place. You're at the epicenter. That's how I looked at Games Workshop when I was working there. I had my own store. In my interview, I said I want my store to be the nerve center in the town that I was in for wargaming. Yes, we've got lots of different local gaming stores around, but I want them to be satellites of me. All right, I want them to be doing good business in their own right, but I want them to be satellites of my Games Workshop store. And that's essentially what a Games Workshop store is supposed to be. It's supposed to be the nexus from which all other stores branch out that sell Warhammer around the local area. And in being that, all new releases are there on release day. Okay? All new releases are at Games Workshop on release day, and there will always be a copy there for you. I know this because in the store that I was running, for instance, during the time I was there, we had, let me just pick out one of the things from the top of my head. Well, I was there for 8th edition, so we had the Grey Knights Codex, right? So we had the Grey Knights Codex come out. We had 5 of them out on display to be bought, but I had another 20 in the back, right? And Grey Knights are not a super duper popular faction. I mean, they're certainly in the top 10, but they're not. We weren't going to sell 25 of these things, right? So there will always be something. If there are new releases coming out, Black Templars, for instance, I have a friend who works in. Well, I'm not going to say the store, but from down south, and he for the Black Templars, he has loads of this stuff. Like he's already got it. Like he's got all of the stuff already in the store, ready to go, and he's not going to sell all of it. And they're going to be really popular. He's never going to sell all of it. So all new releases are there on release day. And if they're not, then I would actually be thinking that's a bit of school. Either you're a really popular store like London or Liverpool or Newcastle, or there's some skullduggery going on there where the manager's bought them all for himself or has had some of his friends buy them on a discount or something like that. That does happen. Not to say that doesn't. So, but a store that's being run well will have all of its new releases there on release day, at least on release day. So you're guaranteed to get yourself a copy of whatever you want when you turn up to Games Workshop, because it's the nerve center of the hobby, alright? So when you're there, you're speaking to the company. Kind of. And the reason why I put kind of, that kind of is basically what 75% of my channel audience is here for. Because when you go to Games Workshop, yes, you're speaking to Games Workshop, which is all fine and dandy and wonderful, but at the end of the day, it's a kind of. Because if you think that speaking to a manager at Games Workshop is going to change anything at Games Workshop, you are sadly mistaken. It is not going to happen. You may change things at the local level. You may change things at... Let me just check that my mic is working properly. Yes, it is. You may change things at a local level. You may change things in the store. You may even change things in the general area. If enough of you say, hey, I mean, for instance, I was quite a liberal Games Workshop manager. Not politically, but in terms of how I'd run the store. enough people came to me and said, look, we love Horus Heresy. We want to play Horus Heresy in the store. Every single time we go to a local game store, we're always blasted off the table by these dickheads who have these huge Forge World models that just kill you in 2 turns. We're infantry. We have a World Eater's army here. We have we're an infantry-based armies. We have World Eaters. We have Blood Angels. We have this and that. And we like to play with Primarchs. We don't want them shot off the table in the first turn. So they said we want to come in and we want to come and play at your store. And I knew that was against the rules. I was not allowed to play Horus Heresy in the Games Workshop store. You are not allowed to play any Forge World level game at a Games Workshop store, including Horus Heresy. But I took it upon myself to say, do you know what? Fuck this. I love Horus Heresy. I have an Iron Warriors army. So, on a Thursday night after I close, I'm going to have a gaming night in the store, Horus Heresy. So I had 5 or 6 blokes turn up. They brought their armies with them. My only proviso was that each of them bought something every time they were in the store on a Thursday. I didn't care what it was. It could have been a pair of pliers. It could have been a pot of paint, a white dwarf. It often was a white dwarf. Or it could even be, if you need a model, then wait until you come and see me, and then get it from me. That sort of a thing. And they rewarded me handsomely. Like these guys are the one. These guys came in and they took my betrayal at Calths, and they took my burning of Prosperos, and they took my Dark Imperiums and things like that, and really got my KPIs going just from these 7 guys. Officially, Games Workshop aren't allowed to do that, and I would have been shouted at or even sacked for doing that. I definitely would have been sacked because I allowed them to have cans of beer. Because the store was shut. The store was shut. I closed everything down. You could see we were there. The lights were on. We were gaming. But if someone came to the door and said, "Sorry, it's shut. It's a private club. Sorry," that'd be it. No kids allowed. No under 18s. I got them to cover up their beer cans with like they look like hobos. They had like fucking bags around their beer cans. And eventually, after a while, they started bringing them in containers that were like for Coke and stuff. So they'd have like beer and Coke. It's brilliant. So they had quite a few jolly nights. Then we go to the pub. We go to the pub afterwards, and I would have a hungover Friday. But yes. So you are speaking to the company, kind of. Certain things will change in the store if you ask nicely. There are always managers who are not willing to budge. I worked for one of them. Nobody liked him. In fact, everybody hated him at the store. His store did very well because he's in an amazing catch-all area, and he had loads of families who'd come in, things like that. But like the actual gamers side of the hobby, they didn't like him at all, But the thing is, here's what I will say on that. Games Workshop are right. I'm going to take a drink because Games Workshop are completely right. Stores that tell you, because most of the people who watch this are long-time gamers, Games Workshop stores that tell you to piss off will make money. It's just a proven thing, right? The first store I was in told all of their gamers to piss off and leave. Right? You can play a 500-point game or you can leave, because we only play beginner games here. Right? And they put all of their effort into recruitment, not of staff, but of customers, getting new customers to come in and come and buy stuff. And they would come in and buy stuff. Because most of the time, gamers, all they would do is come in, treat your store like a youth club, and leave without hardly buying anything, or never buying anything, as the case may be. The one thing that really got me was when those people would buy stuff on the online store, so they didn't even get a discount, right? They only got free postage to my store. So they would just come and pick it up from my store, and I saw none of that money going through my till. Thanks, guys. It's like one of those, right? So they are kind of right in the way that they do treat gamers, but I think there is definitely a middle ground there to be found. So moving on from that. Friendly and open, forcibly, community. So everybody at Games Workshop will be nice to you. It's almost guaranteed, right? Yes, there are outliers before anyone jumps down my throat and says, "Oh, somebody told me I smell like BO." Yeah, okay, right, fine. There are always outliers, right? And if you smell like BO, go and get a wash. Don't go to a shop with smelling like BO. Trust me, it's horrible for everyone there. You can tell I've run these stores before. Anyway, so Games Workshop is friendly and open forcibly. That means that they will come at you. Every member of staff will come at you smiling. Hey man, how's it going? With this smile on their face, like I want to fucking die. But they still want to help you, and they still want you to buy their KPI stuff, and they still want you to help them out by buying all of their models. But they're just so hemped up and, hey guys, do you want to buy some things and I want to kill myself, right? That's just how the staff are, right? They're friendly and open. They're forced to be friendly and open, right? The people who are the gamers, they're forced to be friendly and open. The minute, and this is true, and this is right, by the way, the minute a Games Workshop manager sees anything that will turn away a new player from the hobby, they will come down in it like a ton of fucking bricks. And so they should. Like, so they should. Because we want more people in the hobby. We want more people coming into the hobby and leaving it, right? But that also means that the community in a Games Workshop is neutered. Right? If you want edgy comedy, because I'm a very edgy, no, not edgy, but I like my dark humour. None of that was in my store though, I couldn't. Right? I really wanted to, but I couldn't. I let slip once or twice. I will say, I let slip once or twice. But it's sort of like being a teacher. It's very much like being a teacher, actually. In that, I have a very dark sense of humour. I like gaming. I like wargaming. I like anime. I like, sci-fi, fantasy, all that sort of stuff. So when I'm teaching, I have to bite my tongue when I want to talk to the kids about shit that I like, because they like some of the same stuff. Right? But every now and again I'll have a slip, and invariably it works out because those kids are like, hey, I can trust this guy. So, as long as you do it not all the time, it's fine. Whereas in Games Workshop, it's more about being family friendly and being overly nice and being very welcoming. So, if you want a nice, sedate place to go and do your hobby, Games Workshop's the place. Right? Always has been, really, but Games Workshop's the place. So, and again, I know there are outliers. I'm not saying there aren't, but this is generally from my experience. Okay? So, a local game store, your friendly local game store, first thing they will have is discounted prices, normally 20%. Sometimes more than that, but normally 20%. So, 20% off what you would normally pay in Games Workshop for your models. Pretty cool, huh? I think it is. That's really cool. It's not when you're running a Games Workshop really near to a local game store, because then, you're pretty much hamstrung on people aren't going to come to your store and buy stuff. They'll come to your store and play the games, but not going to give you any fucking money. They're more open, less rules, more laddish. Now, this is a double-edged sword. It is more open, right? You'll find people from all walks of life in there. There are less rules, okay? So people will generally say what they want. They will have more coarse language. There will be disagreements that go on. It's more laddish. There's more jokes. There's more edgy humour. There's more everything, right? You're in basically what you would describe as a university/school scenario where people are going to just kid around, right? And it's not always the most accepting. It's not always the most open and welcoming. I've walked into a store. I was dating a girl, and a very pretty girl. She looked like an anime character, basically, from London. And we walked into... Oh, I don't need to say place names. Oh, well. But London's big enough. We walked into my local gaming store where I was working in the city as, obviously a Games Workshop manager. We walked into this local gaming store. The entire place stopped and looked around at this curvy Asian girl. Very cute, and just like... She felt like, whoa, this is not nice. Like, after about 10 minutes, she went outside and just stood outside. She didn't have a very good experience with wargaming at all. This is the same girl. The semi-famous story that I tell when I was at the what's it called, retail workshop, which is the big retail meeting, and there was a party afterwards in the barn, and I brought her along just to meet a few of my friends. And the managers were like, "How dare she be here? Blah blah blah. She's not one of us." Blah, blah, blah. Right? So she didn't have the greatest of experiences with the fucking nerds who are wargamers. Nerds are the worst. They're just the fucking worst. There are no better bullies than nerds, because it's happened to them so often. They're really good at turning it around on other people. They're very good at playing the victim as well, which is something I absolutely loathe. But yeah, if you go into one of these stores, be prepared. If you're a girl, it's not right, but be prepared. You will be looked at comments may be made. There may be one or two or 5 or 6, 7 or 8 neckbeards around who just want to, you know, I'm lady, and get out the way and stuff, and they'll drop their fedora on the floor as their 9 chins start wobbling around. It will happen. It does happen. I've seen it happen too many times. So please, no one on this video comment saying it doesn't happen, or you've never seen it happen, because you're just outing yourself as a fucking neckbeard. And please don't, because it happens all the time, and it's ridiculous, and I hate it. You know, the one thing Games Workshop gets right all the time is that, listen, accept people. You know, accept them into the hobby. I don't care. You know, I had a guy in my store who I was pretty sure he wasn't a Nazi. He just liked Nazi memorabilia, right? He wasn't a Nazi, right? But he just liked Nazi memorabilia. So I was pretty sure, like, on all of his Marines had, like, you know, German names like Wehrmacht and all that. So it's just so. But I accepted him because he was paying and he was a nice guy. You know, you want to go and Zeke Kyle at home. That's all you, my friend. Don't do it in my store. I'm fine. You know, Games Workshops are very accepting. LGS, no, right? They are under no obligation to accept you wherever you are. Okay. And by the way, that's life too. No one's under any obligation to like you or accept you in the real world. Games Workshop isn't the real world. Your local game store is. It is the real world, and they are under no obligation to say that they like you or that they accept you. That just is what it is, right? Now, 95% of the time in an LGS, and if you're a dude, you'll be fine. You'll walk in, and people will like you, fair enough. They'll have a chat and have a laugh with you, and you'll be accepted, and you can play some games, and it's really cool. And even if you're a woman, you know, 9 times out of 10, you know, after they get over the initial shock of you being in there, especially if you're attractive, you know, people will be nice to you. People will be all right with you, you know. But of course, you'll obviously get the pervs. You know, you'll get the people who talk to you with an ulterior motive, things like that. And without me saying, you know, that comes with the territory. It's a bunch of men together. You know, like if I went into a situation where it was a woman's cocktail party, which I have done because I've worked in bars before. I've worked as a bar manager in London. The amount of comments I would get if I wore a tight shirt to work, right? I'm quite, you know, I'm not muscly, but you know, I fill out a shirt basically. If I wore a tight shirt to work and I was looking good, I'd get comments all the time. I get touching all the time, right? But it's not acceptable, no. But it comes with the territory. Look, they're drunk, they're women, they're all together, they're having a nice time, whatever. You know, it didn't ruin my day. I was like, whatever, I'm still getting paid, whatever, right? Same thing for a local game store. Same thing. You know, you're walking into a situation where there's all these blokes there. It's unacceptable. You know, they shouldn't say things like that. They shouldn't make inappropriate comments or God forbid, touch you. That's going way beyond the line, right? But, you know, a comment here, a comment there, or someone trying to get close to you as in, you know, because they want to ask you out on the dates, and something like that. As long as they take the first rejection well. But even then, you shouldn't have to deal with that if you're a female gamer. But whatever, you know, man's got to eat. You know, and I'm very skeptical of people who say that you can't even approach women these days. Of course you can. Of course you can, right? What I'm saying is I don't like situations where a woman goes into a local game store and all of a sudden she's passed around the place as everyone tries to sleep with her. That's not cool, right? If two people strike up a lateral rapport, great, off they go, right? But if you're just there to be friends, and it's obviously just there to be friends, just fucking let them in the local game store. But again, they're under no obligation to accept you as a person in an LGS, right? So, more gaming tables and more gaming accommodations. Right, now, here's the big one. Just as Games Workshop are totally open to everybody who comes in their store, they are completely opposite if you're a gamer. If you're somebody who comes into a store and you want to play on the tables, they are under Games Workshop is under no obligation to let you play at all, right? They are there to sell models, not to give you a place to play your games. LGSs are both. They want to sell you models by having you play games, and that's great. You know, I think that's, especially when you get a good LGS, that's great. That's exactly what I want. You know, I want to give you money so I can buy models to then play in your store. That's the perfect cycle, right? The circle of life. That's what we want to do, right? So those are the main differences between the LGS and the Games Workshop. If I was being totally honest, I kind of prefer the LGS way of doing things because it's less sterile, it's more natural. It'll teach you more about coping in the hobby, right? Because even though it is a very open hobby, and in general, wargamers are amazing people. I've met a few special weapons in my time, but 90+% of the people that I've met in this hobby have been diamonds. You know, some of them have had autism, some of them have had, you know, all sorts going wrong with them, but in terms of their personal lives or whatever. But they've all been diamonds. They've all been absolutely nice people that I've had a real laugh with. And you know, I think it's an incredibly accepting hobby. I just think you know, sometimes when I've seen things happen in a local game store, I've been like, oh god, come on, you know, because geeks aren't the most sociably adept people. You know, let's be honest. But that's the only downside to a local game store that I can find. It will teach you a lot more about the hobby. It will teach you a lot more about where you want to be and what armies you like, and you know. Yes, you will get the odd dick who's like, oh, I hate the phrase I'm running. Oh, I'm running this list. Dude, you're not playing Magic the Gathering. This is a cooperative game. Yes, there is a winner at the end of it, but it is a cooperative game where two of you tell a story about what happens when your armies meet on the tabletop. Right? You're not running anything. If you're running something, go and play in a fucking tournament, right? Again, downsides to the LGS. There are downsides. But I just think for the overall, it's a net positive for the local game store. And it's a net positive for the Games Workshop, just not as much as a net positive as the local game store is. When you look at the prices that are in there, you look at the more open nature of the place, so you're more likely to make friends at an LGS, you know? They're under no obligation to accept you. That means you've got to be on good behaviour. You've got to develop social skills, right? And you've got more areas, more opponents, more gaming accommodations, right? So that's my opinion. I like Games Workshop as a space, but it can improve in several areas. The only area it really gets right is the acceptance of people coming into the hobby. For the most part, again, I know outliers. I know. But the LGS beats Games Workshop on every other level, basically. You know. Anyway, that's my opinion. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.